Beloved, let this truth sink into the depths of your heart. God is not watching you from a distance. He is actively working in your favor this very moment. The infinite power that shaped the stars, that set the seas in motion, is now moving on your behalf. You may feel surrounded by challenges. You may see obstacles towering like mountains. But there is a greater power surrounding you, lifting you, and clearing the way before you. And this brings us to the unshakable foundation of today's message. The battle is not yours. The battle belongs to God. When you awaken to this truth, your whole perception of life changes. Too often, you and I carry burdens that were never ours to carry. We wrestle with fears, with doubts, with anxieties that weigh heavy upon the heart. We think we must figure everything out, fight every enemy, and resolve every conflict through our own limited strength. And so we struggle, we labor, and we often exhaust ourselves against forces far greater than us. But the timeless truth is this: the battle is not yours. The battle belongs to God. Consider how liberating that realization is. It means you no longer need to fight in your own might, for there is a higher power fighting on your behalf. It means you are not required to solve every impossible situation, because the infinite wisdom is already orchestrating outcomes you cannot yet see. It means that in the face of adversity, you can rest, not in passivity, but in confident trust that the divine has already taken up your cause. Think of a soldier who goes to war, but behind him stands an entire army with far greater resources. That soldier does not tremble, because he knows he is not fighting alone. In the same way, you are never alone in your struggle. The moment you release your burden into God's hands, you shift from striving into surrender, from fear into faith, from weakness into strength. And surrender here does not mean giving up. It means acknowledging that the infinite is infinitely wiser, stronger, and more capable than you. It is the humility that says, I will do my part in faith, but I trust the outcome to the one who sees all things. Many people live with the illusion of control. They believe that if they plan hard enough, worry long enough, or strategize cleverly enough, they can bend life entirely to their will. Yet how many times has life shown us that outcomes are not always in our hands? Illness strikes without warning. Opportunities appear from nowhere. Relationships shift in unexpected ways. What looks like defeat one moment can transform into victory the next. This is because behind the veil of human perception, the divine is. When you believe the battle belongs to God, you free yourself from unnecessary torment. The enemy of your peace is not the problem itself. It is the belief that you must fight it all by yourself. Anxiety melts when you realize that the infinite is carrying the greater weight. Fear dissolves when you understand that you are backed by the power that created the universe. Imagine a courtroom where accusations are thrown against you. Instead of trying to defend yourself nervously, a wise and powerful advocate stands beside you and says, "Be silent. I will speak on your behalf." That is what happens when you allow God to take the battle. You no longer scramble for answers, for defense, for weapons. The defense is divine. The weapons are spiritual, and the outcome is already secure. This does not mean you do nothing. No, it means you act from a place of peace rather than panic. You move with calm assurance rather than desperate effort. You speak words of faith rather than words of fear. And with each step, you acknowledge, this is not my battle. It is God's. Look at your life right now. What are the struggles that seem impossible? What are the challenges that weigh on your heart? What are the battles you've been trying to fight in your own power? Place them, one by one, into the hands of God. Whisper within yourself, this battle is not mine. It belongs to you. Feel the release. Feel the weight lift. Feel the peace of knowing you are not fighting alone. Every time you practice this truth, your soul grows stronger. You walk lighter. You sleep deeper. You speak bolder. Because deep within you, the unshakable assurance has taken root. The battle is not yours. The battle belongs to God. Divine power is active in this very moment, working for your good. Right now, in this very instant, divine forces are moving on your behalf. Whether you see them or not, whether you feel them or not, the currents of spiritual law are already arranging circumstances for your highest good. There is no delay in God's work, no hesitation, no absence. Divine power is immediate, present, and always active. You may be tempted to think that nothing is happening because you cannot perceive it with your senses. You may look at your life and see the same problems, the same limitations, the same struggles, and wonder, where is the help I've been asking for? But remember, seeds planted beneath the soil take time before they break through the surface. Beneath the ground, invisible to the eye, life is stirring, roots are stretching, and the unseen miracle is already underway. So it is with you. The moment you affirm your trust in God, the moment you align your thoughts with faith, the divine machinery goes into motion. Things begin to shift in realms you cannot see. Conversations you are not part of are being influenced in your favor. Opportunities you do not yet know about are being prepared. Problems that looked insurmountable are already unraveling in the invisible realm. Do not mistake silence for absence. The silence is the space where divine activity is taking place. Just because you cannot hear the movement does not mean the movement isn't there. Just because the answer has not appeared yet does not mean it isn't already on the way. Think of the air you breathe. You cannot see oxygen, but it sustains you moment by moment. You cannot see the magnetic fields of the earth, but they protect and guide the very compass of your world. Likewise, you cannot always see divine power, but it is holding your life in balance and moving all things toward your good. This very moment, while your mind may be anxious, while your emotions may be unsettled, God's power is in motion. It is calming storms you cannot calm. It is opening doors you cannot open. It is softening hearts you cannot reach. It is healing wounds you cannot heal. And all of this is happening not later, not someday, but now. Too many people postpone their faith. They say one day things will get better. Someday God will intervene. Eventually I will see change. But the truth is, divine power is not scheduled for the future. It is active right now. The breakthrough begins not tomorrow, but in this very breath, in this very heartbeat, in this very second. The challenge is not whether God is working. It is whether we are perceiving. When you train your mind to expect divine activity, you begin to see evidence everywhere. What you once called coincidence, you now recognize as providence. What you once dismissed as chance, you now see as divine arrangement. The phone call at the right time, the unexpected provision, the sudden idea, the closed door that leads to a better one. All these are signs that divine power is not idle but alive. Hold this awareness within you. At this very instant, divine power is working for your good. Even when circumstances contradict it, even when appearances deny it, even when your senses fail to confirm it, stand firm in the inner knowing that God is active now. Because the truth is unchanging. Divine power does not slumber, does not delay, and does not fail. It is here. It is present. It is alive and it is working for your good in this very moment. What you cannot see, God is already handling in the unseen realm. Life often convinces us that what we see with our eyes is the totality of reality. We measure progress by visible results, and when nothing seems to move, we assume nothing is happening. Yet the truth is far greater than appearances. What you cannot see, God is already handling in the unseen realm. Behind the curtain of visible events, an invisible order is at work. Forces move quietly beyond your perception, aligning circumstances, shifting possibilities, preparing outcomes. Think of the roots of a tree. You look at the trunk and branches and see growth. But beneath the soil, unseen to your eyes, is an intricate system of roots, drawing nourishment, expanding silently, holding the tree firm. If you only judged by the surface, you would miss the true foundation. In the same way, when you only judge life by what you can see, you overlook the vast work God is performing in the invisible. So many of the greatest miracles in your life began long before you noticed them. Someone crossed your path by chance and became a lifelong blessing. An opportunity appeared just when you needed it most. Yet the preparation for that moment had been unfolding for months, or even years. A solution arose seemingly out of nowhere, but behind it were countless unseen threads being woven together by divine intelligence. This is why you must not despair when answers delay. Delay is not denial. Delay often means the invisible work is still in motion. A door not yet opened may be because other doors are being adjusted first. A prayer not yet answered visibly may be because the invisible is not fully aligned. Trust does not mean seeing everything now. It means resting in the confidence that the unseen realm is more real than the visible. Consider the wind. You cannot see it directly, but you see its effects as trees sway and waters ripple. Similarly, you may not see divine intervention, but you will witness its evidence in changed hearts, open paths, and unexpected blessings. What looks still and motionless may in fact be alive with invisible activity. Many battles are fought on levels you cannot perceive. Spiritual forces are moving. Divine protection is surrounding you. Higher wisdom is guiding you in ways beyond thought. You may feel exposed and vulnerable, but in truth, you are encircled by unseen strength. You may feel directionless, but unseen guidance is arranging encounters, inspirations and inner nudges that lead you precisely where you need to be. When you understand this, you no longer panic at silence. You no longer despair when you cannot see results. You no longer conclude that nothing is happening simply because your eyes cannot perceive it. Faith is the vision that penetrates the unseen. Faith whispers, "Even now, though I do not see, God is at work." And sometimes the unseen is also within you. A healing may begin in the hidden places of the heart, long before it manifests outwardly. A transformation may be stirring in your subconscious mind, renewing you from within, before the evidence is visible to others. Just because others cannot see your growth, does not mean growth is not occurring. God works in the quiet chambers of the soul, reshaping thoughts, renewing courage, planting seeds of wisdom. So when life tempts you to despair because you see no progress, remember this: what you cannot see, God is already handling in the unseen realm. The invisible is more active than the visible, and soon the hidden work will break forth into the open. Every obstacle against you is being dissolved by higher law. Obstacles are a part of life. You meet resistance in your path. You encounter walls that seem too tall to climb. You face challenges that seem impossible to solve. The human mind often reacts with fear, worry, or frustration. imagining that these obstacles have the power to stop you. Yet there is a greater truth. Every obstacle against you is being dissolved by higher law. There is a divine order that governs the universe. Just as gravity holds the planets in orbit, just as the sun rises each morning without fail, so too does spiritual law operate with precision and certainty. When you align yourself with this higher law, through faith, trust, and surrender, the obstacles that once seemed immovable begin to lose their grip. They dissolve, not by human struggle alone, but by the quiet yet irresistible force of divine order. Think of ice under the warmth of the sun. To the eye, the ice appears solid, unbreakable, resistant. But expose it to the steady light of the sun, and slowly, quietly, it melts away. In the same way, the problems that look immovable in your life cannot resist the constant, radiant presence of divine law. They must give way. They must yield. Sometimes you think an obstacle is there to stop you, but in truth it is there to redirect you. What looks like a barrier may be a protective wall, shielding you from a path not meant for you. What seems like rejection may be divine redirection. Higher law does not simply dissolve obstacles. It transforms them into stepping stones, into lessons, into guidance. When you fixate on the obstacle, it grows larger in your mind. Fear magnifies it. Worry strengthens it. Doubt cements it. But when you turn your attention to the higher law, the obstacle begins to shrink. Your awareness of God's power becomes like light dissolving shadows. The shadow may appear vast, but in reality it has no substance of its own. The moment the light shines, the shadow disappears. Every obstacle you face carries within it a hidden expiration date. It may look powerful, but it cannot outlast divine truth. It cannot resist the movement of higher law. What is not aligned with God's will must fade, must dissolve, must eventually disappear. Trust this process. You do not need to know how the obstacle will dissolve. You do not need to calculate the exact moment it will vanish. You need only to hold steady in the assurance that the higher law is already at work. What is blocking you now is already weakening. What resists you now is already unraveling. Your role is not to force the obstacle down with panic, but to stand firm in faith, to declare inwardly, "This barrier cannot last. The higher law is already dissolving it." That affirmation shifts your mind, aligns your heart, and places you in harmony with the divine flow. Remember, mountains are moved not by human hands alone, but by faith in the one who created the mountains. And every obstacle before you, no matter how large, is already subject to the authority of higher law. It cannot remain forever. It must dissolve. It must yield. Fear may roar, but faith declares victory now. Fear is one of the loudest voices in human experience. It roars in the night when the mind is most vulnerable. It shouts during moments of uncertainty. It echoes through your thoughts when the future appears dim or when the present seems overwhelming. Fear magnifies problems. It paints vivid pictures of failure, and it convinces you that defeat is inevitable. But no matter how loud the roar of fear may be, there is a greater voice within you, faith. And faith does not whisper timidly. Faith declares victory now. The difference between fear and faith lies in their vision. Fear looks only at appearances, while faith perceives the unseen. Fear sees the storm. Faith sees the calm beyond it. Fear sees the giant. Faith sees the power that brings giants down. Fear says, "It cannot be done." But faith proclaims, "It is already accomplished." When fear roars, it is often because the obstacle is close to being overcome. Fear tries to intimidate you, so that you will turn back just before breakthrough arrives. It shouts to distract you from the quiet certainty of God's presence. Yet the very intensity of fear is often the signal that victory is near. For darkness is loudest before dawn breaks. Faith does not wait for circumstances to change before it speaks. Faith declares victory even when appearances remain unchanged. This declaration is not a denial of reality. It is an affirmation of a higher reality. It is the soul's alignment with divine truth that transcends visible conditions. Faith does not say, "One day I will be victorious." Faith says, "Victory is mine now, because God is with me now." Think of a courtroom where two voices argue. One voice shouts accusations, condemning, frightening, and convincing. That voice is fear. But another voice rises, calm yet authoritative, declaring truth, citing law, and establishing the verdict. That voice is faith, and no matter how loud fear may roar, it cannot override the authority of faith aligned with divine truth. In your life, fear will always attempt to dominate the stage. It will present its case with evidence, with memories of past failures, with imagined scenarios of disaster. But faith interrupts that performance. Faith steps forward and speaks with finality. God is for me, therefore I cannot be defeated. The battle is already won. That is the declaration that shifts the atmosphere of your inner world. Fear's power lies in its ability to capture your focus. The more you look at the problem, the louder fear grows. But when you shift your gaze toward God's promises, fear begins to lose its voice. Faith takes the microphone, and suddenly the roaring becomes faint, like a distant echo with no real authority. This is why affirmation is so powerful. When you declare victory aloud, even when you feel afraid, you reorient your inner world. Words of faith are like fire. They burn through the fog of fear. Speak them boldly. I will not fear. God is with me. Victory is mine now. Each declaration strengthens your spirit until faith becomes louder than fear. And remember this, fear may roar, but it cannot remain. Its sound is temporary. Its effect is limited. Faith is eternal, because faith is rooted in God, who never changes. When you choose faith, you stand with unshakable ground beneath you. When you declare victory now, you claim the reality that fear cannot touch. God's presence surrounds you as shield and fortress. At times, life may feel like a battlefield. Arrows of criticism fly toward you. Storms of adversity rise suddenly, and shadows of doubt creep close. In such moments, the human heart longs for safety, for shelter, for refuge. The eternal assurance is this: God's presence surrounds you as shield and fortress. Picture yourself standing in the midst of conflict. Enemies may advance, challenges may surround, and pressures may mount. Yet around you is a radiant circle of divine presence. Nothing can penetrate this shield, except what is permitted for your growth and ultimate good. You may feel exposed to the world's threats, but in truth you are wrapped in an invisible armor. A fortress built not by human hands, but by divine authority. This shield is not fragile. It is impenetrable. It does not falter when storms rage. It grows brighter. It does not weaken when opposition rises. It strengthens. It is constant, unyielding, and unbreakable. When you know you are surrounded by this presence, fear loses its grip, because you understand that no weapon formed against you can prosper. The fortress of God's presence is not a distant place you must run to. It is here, surrounding you in every moment. Wherever you go, it travels with you in silence, It guards your mind. In danger, it shields your body. In sorrow, it comforts your heart. You are never outside its reach, never beyond its circle of safety. Consider the air you breathe. You are enveloped by it constantly, though you rarely notice. In the same way, God's presence encircles you continuously. You may forget it, you may overlook it, but it never departs. The more you become conscious of this shield, the stronger your sense of peace becomes. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, live differently, because you know you are not vulnerable, but divinely protected. The shield deflects attacks, and the fortress provides shelter. Together they symbolize both defense and rest. With God as shield, threats cannot harm you. With God as fortress, you can rest secure within His walls. You no longer live in constant tension, waiting for danger. You live in calm assurance, knowing that you are defended on every side, and this shield is not only around you, it is also within you. God's presence fortifies the inner chambers of your heart. No thought of despair can take root. Where faith abides, no darkness can settle. Where divine light shines, even if storms rage outside, within your spirit, there remains an unshaken calm, a sanctuary, untouched by external chaos. When doubts rise, remind yourself, I am shielded by God's presence. I am hidden in the fortress of His love. Let that awareness saturate you. It is not wishful thinking. It is spiritual fact. You are defended. You are encircled. You are secure. This is why you can walk into uncertain places with steady steps. This is why you can face challenges without trembling. This is why you can endure storms with peace in your heart. Not because the threats disappear instantly, but because you know they cannot penetrate the shield of God's presence. So stand tall, even when shadows lengthen. Walk boldly, even when dangers seem near. Live freely, even when challenges arise. For you are never alone, never unprotected, never vulnerable. The shield and fortress of God's presence surround you always. Past victories prove that you have never been abandoned. Every moment you've endured, every valley you've crossed, every trial you thought would break you, but didn't. These are testimonies that you've never been abandoned. Look back at the nights you cried, the days you doubted, the seasons you felt surrounded with no way out. Somehow strength came, doors opened, help arrived, and you stood again. Those victories are not accidents. They are reminders of a faithful presence that has never left your side. The same hand that carried you then is carrying you now. Memory itself becomes proof that divine companionship is unbroken, that you have always been guided, protected, and restored, even when you didn't see how. Your words of faith ignite divine forces into motion. Every word you speak carries power, shaping the unseen atmosphere around you. Fearful words reinforce obstacles, but words of faith release divine energy, summoning higher law into action. When you affirm, I am protected, I am guided, I am victorious, you are not merely reciting phrases. You are igniting spiritual forces that align circumstances in your favor. Faith-filled speech is a command that the universe must obey, because it harmonizes with divine truth. As you choose words of life over words of doubt, you participate in creation itself, drawing invisible power into visible form, shifting outcomes, and opening the way before you. Right now is the moment of breakthrough, not tomorrow. The human mind is always tempted to postpone hope, to imagine that change is far away, that answers will come someday in the distant future. But spiritual truth declares that breakthrough is not delayed. It is present now. Each breath you take is filled with the energy of divine possibility. The shift begins the moment you align with faith, the instant you affirm that God is moving. Tomorrow is only a shadow of today. And when you believe that the present moment is charged with divine activity, you step into the reality that breakthrough is unfolding in this very second, not in some far-off time. You are destined to win, because God Himself fights for you. Destiny is not shaped by fear, failure, or the opposition that rises against you. Destiny is anchored in the eternal fact that God is on your side. When the infinite fights for you, no adversary can prevail. No challenge can endure. No circumstance can stand unchanged. This is why your victory is certain, not because of your strength alone, but because divine strength surrounds you, upholds you, and carries you forward. The battles may rage, but the outcome is already decided. For the one who commands creation itself has declared that your life is marked by triumph. You have now walked through the sacred truth of divine intervention. You've learned that the battle is not yours, that God is already handling what you cannot see, that higher law is dissolving every obstacle in your path. You've seen how fear may roar, but faith declares victory. How God's presence surrounds you as shield and fortress, and how your past victories prove you've never been abandoned. You've been reminded that your words of faith ignite divine power, that your breakthrough is not postponed to tomorrow, but alive right now. And above all, that you are destined to win, for God Himself fights for you. Carry this awareness into your daily life. Speak victory. Walk with assurance. Rest in divine protection. Every step you take is accompanied by the eternal certainty that you are defended, guided, and lifted by the infinite. This is not a distant promise. It is your living reality. Right now, God is fighting for you. You've been watching where faith comes alive and timeless truth transforms your world.